take us away with the solar carport update.
The carports are complete. The only thing that we have not finished is maybe some final testing. The inspection is scheduled for the final inspection is scheduled for Friday, and we should be operational by the end of the month. I mean, that's the good news. I think they're complete. They look
Cool.
I think they look nice. I've heard some people think they're big and ugly, but I think they're interesting. I think they're going to be an asset to us long term. I think that, you know, they're definitely green energy. You know, that's one of our goals as a town is to do more green energy. And so I think it's a successful project. We won't get into the details about the delays, but we'll just leave it at that. It's complete, and
It's water under the carport.
there was minimal disruption. I think the schools were very cooperative on the impact of the parking for the beginning of school. It did have some impact to the parking. It was a little bit of a problem, but the high school and the Folsom School and staff and students really helped and worked around it, so it worked out well. Looking forward to them being 100% operational, which hopefully will be by the end of the month.
Very cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
If I could thank Bill for his work. He was very thorough in terms of working with the principals and making sure the project could go forward. I think he was very much on top of the contractor and on their time frame, and just really did an excellent job of keeping us informed. So I was able to keep the board informed. I know it didn't go as he had planned, but everything was out of his control, and I think he did everything within his power to make sure it went smoothly and on time. And so thank you, Bill, for everything you did with that.
You're welcome. I'm happy that it's complete.
I bet. Thank you, Bill. That's awesome. I just have a really brief question, Bill.
Sure.
Are we expecting to get a certain amount of energy, or will it vary? Like, will we get reports on the efficiency of it? I don't want that information now. I'm just curious.
No, I'm glad you asked, and I actually thought you might ask me that. So there'll be 2 screens, and they are not up yet. I wasn't so worried about the screens that are going to show the production. One will be here in the school at Polson.
Like monitors to.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So the production is each carport is going to produce about 129 kW kilowatts. And so each one are the same size, and there'll be one of the screens in each school so you can see the production.
Cool.
You know, totally, it's estimated to do, I believe it's 165,000 kWh, kilowatt per hour per year, which will be about 10% of the power that we use for each school. It's approximate, and each month, of course, you can understand in August, it'll be stronger and more input versus the middle of winter. It really depends on the height of the sun at the time.
When you say each school, you mean Folsom and Hampton?
They both have the same unit. You can see they're the same size. There's 334.
Arrays.
Yeah.
So they will produce about 10% of the power we use each year for each school.
Yes.
That's so cool. That's great.
Yeah. The estimate was about 9.something%.
How cool for the science
Yeah.
teachers to be able to see it too.
Yeah.
That's like it's a library.
Yeah.
It's great. That's great.
Yeah, 9.6% is the estimated for hand. And Polson, we believe is about the same, maybe a little higher. Actually, I don't understand why, but the Polson one should produce a little more. Just they're the same size, so can't really figure that one out.
That's really neat. Thank you, Bill.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, Katie, on that?
No, just thanks.
Yeah. Super. All right. Update on ground improvements.
Brown and Polson, I'd like to do sort of at the same, because we're doing similar projects at both. We're redoing the entry, the courtyard, and the main office, to improve the security is the number one focus. Also to improve the appearance of the school, to ADA compliance, and update to today's standards for entryways. And we'll make the office so they can see out better. We're in the middle of the design. We're in the preliminary design and review. I've met with both the principals, and we look forward to, we're actually meeting this week tomorrow for a preliminary design to get some feedback. And once we have the plans, I'll keep you posted. And once we agree on the plans, I'll bring it to this committee to show you what it's going to look like. I anticipate bidding it out this fall. But because of our experience over the last couple of years about getting material, I think I might try to move the bidding up a little more. We used to bid it out over the winter time, try to award the contract in, really March and April, giving us, 8 weeks was plenty of time to get material. But that didn't happen very well this year. And we had problems last year too. So we're gonna see if we can move that along. The other improvements that we're looking at, just some ideas about, making the appearance of the Polson front entry better, the outside of the building, the main halls. We're going to look at trying to improve some, the flooring, the lighting, just the appearance of the hallways. You're going to start with this main hall here, right outside the library, down to the entry. And Brown, we're trying to figure out some ways to improve the appearance of the building as well, interior. And I'm meeting with, of course, Frank and Catherine Hart about that. Dr. Cook's been involved, and Gail has been involved as well. And we have consultants helping us with those plans and designs. So we're going to try to do as much as we can with our plan and cycle maintenance money to improve the schools. We've sort of been on a little bit of a holding pattern, especially since we've been spending a lot of funds for the COVID stuff. So hopefully we can, change our goals to make it back into the schools to make some improvements.
That's really been a part of a bigger discussion, especially when it comes to Brown on the referendum project and looking at where would kindergarten go, for instance. So we've looked at the original plan, which had kindergarten on that ground level, but then also been more recently considering that 300 level and back where students would get dropped off on that floor. And that would allow us to use the art room and the STEAM room and the auditorium and gym for kindergartners without them having to go up the stairs.
That's great.
So we basically have them all on that floor except for the cafeteria. So we're looking at both options. And as recently as today, I've talked with architectures and see what we can do and how long that would take, and waiting for some feedback on that.
So the timeline, if I understand it, is bidding this fall, and then some design work, and then work doing the actual construction over the summer.
So yes, for the plan and cycle maintenance stuff, the front entry, the improvements to the, the building, that would be designed this early fall, late fall, early winter. Usually we do it after the new year, but we might try to get it out before that. And then definitely, depending on the amount that we can fund, we'll definitely do construction this summer. The magnitude is the only thing that we need to clarify, how much we're gonna do next summer, what material can we get. So for sure. What Dr. Cook is referring to is the design. We're trying to finalize the design for the referendum. So that work won't, that will just be approved, and then the funding, and it'll be 2 years, before we do any kind of major modifications to the Polson School for the referendum.
And all of this stuff will flow nicely whether or not the referendum passes. So in other words, we're not putting windows into something that we will then have to take out.
All the improvements to the school will affect the school, whether it's kindergarten or 8th grade. I mean, we're not doing anything that would be, why we waste the money on that.
Right.
These will all be improvements to our facilities that we're gonna keep no matter what we do. So that is absolutely 100%. We're gonna improve the buildings for the long term, no matter what happens.
And then my last question is financially,
Yes.
this money comes out of plan and cycle maintenance. It's not part of the CIP. It's all budgeted for already.
It's full.
Okay.
So the front entries, the courtyard, and the office areas for both the Polson and the Brown are in the CIP and have been approved, and the funding was available July 1st.
Yeah.
The other enhancements that we're talking about, the appearance of the building, the hallway, some other modifications that we're discussing at Brown School that we haven't finalized, those will come out of this, our planning cycle maintenance that we fund every year.
Thank you. I promise.
No, you're good, you're good. Those are good questions.
And yeah, and then once I do have a plan to show you the details,
Yeah.
you know, and I can share with you the details of the funding and, you know, the schedule, but at this point, we're just really, you know, have ideas and I'd hate to share those and then have to change, or that didn't make sense, or that
Yeah.
you couldn't fund that project, so at this point, it's preliminary.
Is there anything you need from us at this point, Bill, for the Brown Wilson improvements?
Not at this time.
Okay, no, keep us posted. All right, any other questions, Katie?
No.
All right, new school discussion.
Sure. So we got into a little bit about what we were doing with Brown and Polson, and then tonight we will be talking about the educational specs. And so, because the board, even though the board had seen them before, we felt that we wanted to bring them back one more time before we were asking for a first reading. So tonight is no action, but we will have Dan Hansen available, and he'll bring us through the ed specs and be able to answer any questions, and then we can certainly come back and handle that for any future meetings. We're also tonight launching, I think it may be live by now, a website dedicated, it's an updated website dedicated to marketing the new school discussions and the referendum coming up, and giving some information out there. Also creating some marketing materials that were just printed out today, and so they're just starting to be available. Gail and myself and Emily have talked about, you know, kind of our plan to get out and communicate. And with COVID, we've really been thinking about, and this is certainly open for discussion or suggestions, is really looking for smaller events is probably what we're doing. So we're going to attend, say, the Jeffrey open house or PTOs or things like that. Also, you know, ice cream socials, things outside as available. I talked to some of the youth sports programs about getting to their meetings as well. So really trying to attend existing events, but being able to speak to that at the same time. So that's being put to paper as we settle on those dates and opportunities. As also I mentioned the website, so we're excited. A lot of work has gone into that, and thankfully, with less contact tracing going on this year, we're getting our communications person back. I mean, Zoe's really done, you know, dual roles for a year now, and she's great at it. So it's fantastic to have her back doing more of the marketing type activities. We also provide the board with a calendar, which we'll review at the board meeting, of working back off of that February 15th date. So we're you know, right on track with that, and having some good discussions with the first select woman to make sure we're on their calendars when we need to, and also had discussions over the summer with the board of finance chair. So we'll keep on top of that and update the board as we go. If there's anything you want to make sure we cover tonight in the 7:30 meeting on ed specs or topics, I'd be happy to discuss.
I'm really excited about the website. I think that's great, because it has not been top of mind for folks in a long time. I'm just wondering, will you mention it in one of your weekly announcements, or will there be a special alert sent out to notify people of the availability of
Yeah, that was our plan for Friday, was to
Perfect.
start plugging that and let them know what our efforts are on that.
No, yeah, that would be great. And so tonight you'll share the calendar with the board for the timeline and the dates, possibly for events and all of that. And that includes public forum or community sessions as much as possible. Right?
That is in a separate document that we will have for the board shortly. We're working on that as we were plugging in dates, but we do have, public forum intended for October And so we're working on some other dates as well.
And once those are set, they'll be placed also on the website.
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
great.
Okay. My question, I too, first was about the thought exchange, data that we
Yes.
got over the summer and whether or not that would be incorporated, or was it useful to you?
Very much so. It was good to know some concerns and kind of what we need to hit with marketing. Good to know some, pluses. So we'll look for a way to share that with the board. Thank you for that reminder. We can make sure we do that. But yeah, I thought it was very helpful in terms of, there's a lot of talk about the two different buildings and the different sides of town, and why is this different than previous? How did the board arrive at that? So I think we've incorporated a lot of that into the website.
Great,
But,
so it's a useful
yeah.
tool, good. And then my second question was on the location and land, and whether or not there's been any, or if you can discuss it, forward movement on that, if anything's been decided, or if that's still rolling.
It's all but inked. We have not finalized. The board of selectmen had planned to talk about it this morning, but they were waiting on some discussion on a date, which I think will be well past February 15th, when the contract needs to be exercised. What we executed, which we wanted to do, was give us some additional time in case there was a blizzard that day or something that would impact voting. And I think they were looking at something a little sooner after February 15th. So it's in my belief, it's a detail that will get ironed out.
Great.
Yeah.
I think that's important as we have some people have some strong feelings about it, so it's
Yes.
good to be able to like plans.
Will there be, I think this was last time around, like a email address, maybe it was around COVID, I forget now, that people can send questions to, that helps
I
generate.
believe that's part of the
FAQs.
website. I will double check with Zoe.
I think that was really helpful. And we might have done that for two things now, but I think to give people opportunity to ask someone a question.
Right.
And then also.
Yeah, we did that for the
generate
reopening
FAQs.
plan.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
that would be great, because I think, like you said, I'm sure there'll be questions about traffic patterns or once the land is announced and all that, so.
Right.
It's also a great tool to refer,
Yes.
for board members to refer people to.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I think in the past, that's been a great thing, and I know just going through the thought exchange, seeing the misconceptions and stuff like that, it's a great way to kind of build a FAQ, so that if those misconceptions are out there, there's some place they can look to get their questions. Yeah, I mean, as far as the community forums and stuff like that, I think as many as we can. I mean, I know that we can't do what we've done in the past with a huge space filled with lots of people, and Gail, forgive me for saying this, but lots of sticky notes, but at least we can get creative on how we do it, take advantage of the warm weather while we have it.
Right.
Give anybody who wants an opportunity to, and I hope that they can be at a variety of places, not just centered around schools, because I think, seniors in town have a vested interest in, whatever.
Yes, we do have, thank you for mentioning, we do have a couple dates with the senior center who've been doing a lot of things through Zoom. They actually mentioned that, so that will give us an opportunity to do a presentation for them.
Awesome.
And that could be taped and certainly shared with any member of this.
Any questions?
Did I miss anything that you have on your list to cover?
Thing.
So on the timeline also will be when you need anything from the board or from this committee.
Correct. Yes, that was in the packet. We'll review that, kind of high level, but we'll make sure we go. There are certain board meetings that become, very important in terms of making sure we take action on that. And it will be tricky. We have some members changing, with some seats changing in November, and so we'll take some time to update new members on what things are at.
Well, you thought I was excited about the carports. This has started 2013. I was only like just a baby then.
2013.
That's when we started.
I think we started in 2010.
Was it? That could be, which is even,
We did the joint town school, elementary school facility study. And we updated in 2015.
yeah.
That's when we did the 2017. And now it's already 2021.
It's time.
That's so 11 years we've been working on it. It takes a while.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, it's exciting that things are moving forward. I'm looking forward to the community events. That'll be great. Wendy, do we have any members of the public who would like to comment on Zoom?
No, no one has their hand raised.
Thank you. Do you have any members of the public here who would like to comment?
Great job, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that's it. Is there anything else Katie you'd like to address this evening? Our committee?
No, but all exciting stuff.
Our next meeting is October 12th. The rest of the meetings are on the agenda. There's a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, second. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
See you in a little. Short and sweet.
We can call it the